So here's the situation. I was on Twitter the other day and I heard that Morphe was apparently going bankrupt. I've heard all these rumors. I don't know if they're going bankrupt. We'll see. We'll see. I haven't watched any of this. I've literally just been like, just kind of looking into it and researching more for this platform. And then I saw that like Jaclyn Cosmetics had filed for bankruptcy, and then I saw that Jaclyn Hill left Twitter. It's just like some stuff's been going on. Jen Love's reviews. What you don't know about Morphe's bankruptcy. Let's dive in. The Morphe situation is wild. They closed all the stores in the US and didn't notify staff until the day before. Yikes. I'm so excited for this.
About how Morphe and their parent company, Forma Brands, were not doing well. There were a lot of rumors that they were going out of business, but really they were only closing the stores. But there have been some developments, some big developments. Forma Brands has officially filed for bankruptcy, but it goes even beyond that. We're going to talk about how this is going to affect Ariana Grande's brand, REM Beauty, as well as Jaclyn Cosmetics. And we're also going to be talking about how this is going to affect the individual people, Jaclyn Hill, Jeffree Star, and James Charles.
Okay, this audio is going to be echoey because you're hearing my audio through the iMac, but it's just easier to go back and forth than using my microphone. I also saw on Twitter that apparently Jeffree Star has a financial stake, or there's rumors about that Tati, while I'm talking, let me read this. Yeah, that apparently Jeffree Star has a financial stake in Morphe, and that Tati, when all that drama was going on, she said that, and everyone made fun of her. You know how everyone was kind of piling on Tati then because she kind of went like all or nothing in with the gossipy stuff. But she was right all along, apparently. I don't know. This is just the gossip that I've heard. So I know this is crazy, right?
Yes, they are involved. Yes, they are named. I have all the information for you and so much more on that. We're also going to be talking about Mielle Organics. They are a hair care brand. There are a lot of things happening with that brand that customers are not happy about. And we'll also go into the speculations about Selfless by Hyram and I Am Beauty by Addison Rae and why they are now leaving Sephora. I got that. I've got so much more.
Oh gosh, this is fun. I didn't know that all this stuff was going on. I think because I'm in the beauty industry with my brand now, I'm like, ooh, what's the 411?
There's so much information. Quick disclaimer, I am not a lawyer. I am digging through this as a person who has gotten knowledge about lawsuits before, but I'm in no way a professional in this area. The formal interpretation is going to have to be left up to the lawyers. So let's get started. So like we talked about last week, Forma Brands is the parent company if you think of an umbrella. The companies underneath are things like Jaclyn Cosmetics, Morphe, Morphe 2. There's a few other brands sprinkled in there that are under that umbrella. Now, Forma Brands, the owner of those companies, decided to close all of the USA brick and mortar Morphe stores. That was the big story last week. This week, Forma Brands has filed for bankruptcy. There is a plan in place and it just has to be approved by a judge, but this is the plan. They are most likely going to be taken over by lenders, including Jefferies Finance LLC and Cerberus Capital Management. Documents say, quote, substantially all of Forma Brands' assets will be acquired. Of course, this is going to include all of the retail stores outside of the US because all the US ones are closed. It's also going to include wholesale and online operations for all of the brands. The company is reported to owe $868 million to lenders and bondholders. On the day of filing, $26.5 million in bridge loans came due. So I guess that's why the bankruptcy had to happen, because the lenders are like, you owe us $26 million. And they're like, well, we don't have $26 million. So they're like, well, you better do something about that. So they filed for bankruptcy.
Sorry? Yeah, Abby, I hate engaging in drama, but I won't lie, it's always so interesting. This is interesting to me because I don't like people drama, like real life people, because I feel like you never know the real side, you never know the real truth because everyone's got their own agenda. But this feels a bit less, I feel less guilty about this because it's just businesses. Sorry, did I just hear that they are $800 million in debt? No, did I hear that right? But they said the loans are they owe $20 million in loans or something? Sorry. Did I hear that right? $1 million.
The company is reported to owe $868 million to lenders and bondholders. On the day of filing, $26.5 million in bridge loans came due. So I guess that's why the bankruptcy had to happen, because
I don't understand how that happens. How can you... This blows my mind. I just don't understand. I mean, if I try to understand, I can understand. I'm being dramatic. How you can be a company like Morphe, one of the most popular brands, probably not as much now, but how can you go from that to... All right, I'm already shocked. Let's go.
The lenders are like, you owe us $26 million. And they're like, well, we don't have $26 million. So they're like, well, you better do something about that. So they filed for bankruptcy. So if these lenders take over, they are going to get a fresh $33 million to help kind of boost the brand and get them going again. Oh. From what I understand, the $33 million is really supposed to be for paying for future things, to give the company a boost. But the question is, what happens to the people that are already owed money, like the employees of the Morphe stores that they abruptly closed right before or right after Christmas? It does look like these employees are going to be paid, or at least Morphe is trying to pay them. So according to court documents, it looks like Forma is trying to pay the approximately $3.4 million
So they owe $353,000 in unpaid wages, $270,000 in unpaid temporary staff compensation, $150,000 in vacation time, $210,000 business expenses, healthcare benefits $634,000, life insurance, disability programs $26,000, unpaid 401k expenses $200,000 almost, payroll. Damn, can't say it's surprising their product quality is bad now. Really, I haven't bought anything in a little while. I bet they wish they were a standalone company now. I didn't even know when they sold. All right, let's continue.
Things like unpaid wages, non-insider severance packages, healthcare benefits, life insurance plans, and payroll taxes. But according to Bloomberg Law, all they have in their bank account is $400,000. So how were they going to do this? They requested to borrow an additional $16.2 million in cash from their existing lenders in order to take care of the people that need to be paid now, like the store employees. Now, this is where the influencers start coming in. Jeffree, Jaclyn, and James. Bloomberg stated, influencers are now among the company's largest unsecured creditors, with Jeffree Star and Jaclyn Hill holding $2 million and $1.4 million in claims, respectively. And then an article in Insider also added James Charles into the mix. His name is James Dickinson in reality, but we'll call him James Charles for the sake of our...
James Dickinson sounds like he's someone from England, in the... James Dickinson. It sounds like a really fancy name. He's a... What's it called? I'm thinking of Emily Dickinson or something. That's why. That's stupid.
Knowing who he is. Apparently, James has $2.16 million in unsecured claims with the brand. So this is the question.
Does that raise I don't know. As a consumer, does that raise is that, I don't know, because if you're promoting a brand, if me as an influencer, if I'm working with Morphe and I am, if I have a financial interest in that partnership because they're sponsoring me, that has to be declared because I'm going to be biased towards that brand because they're paying me. So if you own a part of the company, shouldn't that be disclosed so that the people that follow you know that you have a special reason to be favorable to the brand and maybe you're not going to be as honest about a product or maybe you're not going to be as harsh or whatever. Does that seem like a conflict of interest? In the US, do they have to declare ads? In the UK, it's illegal not to declare. I think you have to declare it everywhere. Those three people would have very good accountants and lawyers and stuff at their disposal. I'm sure they're doing nothing wrong. I'm sure everything they're doing is legal because they would not be silly enough to be doing dodgy stuff. I don't know. Let's just keep watching.
The question is, did James Jacqueline and Jeffrey lend Morphe the money? Did they do it kind of like an informal investment in Forma Brands, or is this...
She has a caption on the screen for those of you on TikTok. Based on continued reading after I filmed, it looks like money is owed due to a contract. Excuse me. It is unclear what the contract was for. It could have been directly related to the selling of their collabs. Ah, okay.
Residual affiliate payments and things, or, commissions that they got from selling products with the brand. In the end, we don't know for 100%. If you remember, if you were in the beauty space back then, in 2020, Tati Westbrook made allegations. She thought that Jeffree Star owned part of Morphe, that he had invested money in the company. At the time, Morphe responded, quote, "We can confirm Jeffree Star retains no ownership of Morphe. He's not an investor. He's not a co-owner. Our only relationship is through retail distribution of Jeffree Star Cosmetics and our 2019 Morphe collaboration." So that was in 2020. We don't know what's happened between now and then. Now, again, to reiterate, not a lawyer, just, a graduate from Googling University, right? I was curious what it traditionally means to be a creditor, because that is what is listed in the lawsuit, is that they are unsecured creditors. And this is what Investopedia says. A creditor is, quote, "an individual or institution that extends credit to another party to borrow money, usually by a loan agreement or contract." So if Jeffree had loaned Forma Brands this money back a while ago, he technically wouldn't have been an investor. He just loaned them money. So Investopedia also told me the definition of unsecured creditors. And from what I'm understanding, I'll put the definition on the screen for you now, is that they didn't put anything up as collateral. That's why they're unsecured. And that unsecured loans are prioritized last, so chances are they're not seeing their money back. But late breaking information right before I filmed, thanks to one of my Twitter followers, found this graph, okay? And what it shows, to my knowledge, is that these are the debts that they want to pay before they go bankrupt. Because once you go bankrupt, then the people you owe money to, they're...
Okay. The only two notable numbers are Jacqueline Cosmetics. So proposed cure amount seems like they would owe her $905,000. And then JJX Packaging Group manufacturing and supply agreement, $520,000. Oh, but Jacqueline Hill says brand collaboration and license agreement and all amendments and schedules thereto. So this is what they would have to want to pay before they go bankrupt. What on the earth is going on?
That's out of luck. It's over for them. It looks like Jacqueline is the only one listed as getting any money, and it's about $900,000. Jeffree Star is not listed. James Charles is not listed.
This may be due to the fact that Jeffree and James's claims are listed as disputed, when Jacqueline's is not. Okay.
Is not listed. So that's a thing as well, if I'm understanding this correctly. Hello, Editing Jen here. I did put something on the screen to clarify this point, but I just want to say it verbally in case people are just listening. It has been a day or so since I filmed, and I wanted to update you and let you know that I do personally believe that the money owed to Jacqueline, Jeffree, and James listed in the claim are due to the collaborations and not due to loans. Of course, okay. I still stand by that we don't necessarily know what's in the contract, but there's really no evidence to prove that says that these were loans. It's much more likely that it was due to the collaboration.
Well, that's good then, because that clarifies what I was saying before about if you have a stake in the company, like you have a moral obligation, surely, maybe even a legal obligation to share that, to disclose that.
Now, we'll talk about this in live chat, but Jeffree's and James are listed as disputed where Jacqueline's is not. So there's definitely something going on there, but we'll go deeper in live chat. So make sure you tune into that. Link will be down below. But with that being said, let's get back to the video. So speaking of Playa Hair Care, what does this mean for the brands that are underneath that Forma umbrella? This would include Jaclyn Cosmetics, Lipstick Queen, Bad Habit, Playa Hair Care, and also what does this mean for REM Beauty? So let's start with REM Beauty. Ariana Grande's REM Beauty is not a Forma brand. They're not. They never have been. But there was a licensing agreement involved. So Forma Brands was in charge of product development, manufacturing, and marketing, but they didn't own the company. So according to the articles, there's massive amount of articles linked down below. They said that Ariana is working toward finalizing an agreement to take all operations in-house for her brand. Just as a little side note, a previous article in Bloomberg, they had talked to an employee that didn't want to be named, and they had said that the sales for REM Beauty had been disappointing. So REM Beauty is probably the safest of anybody affiliated with Morphe right now. So whoever told her or whatever decision she chose to make to not let Morphe buy her brand or that was the best decision ever, because the rest of the brands are now formally in bankruptcy as well. If you look in the court documents, there are court documents specifically saying that Morphe, Jaclyn Cosmetics, Such Good Everything, and Playa Hair Care are formally in bankruptcy. So that might explain why the owner of Playa Hair Care is suing Morphe for $15 million for not promoting her brand, because she knew that soon her brand was going to be in bankruptcy, and feeling no fault of her own that this was happening, she decided to sue them. Another thing about them. See, there's so many things, okay? So I keep saying, and another thing, and another thing. So here's another thing that I saw in the document. So I recognized all of the names of the brands that were listed as Forma brands. There was one I recognized, but I didn't know it was a Forma brand, and it's Charli D'Amelio's perfume line called Born Dreamer. Apparently, that's a Forma brand too, so they are also going to be affected. So what are my predictions for what is going to happen next? These predictions are based on what I have read in the massive amount of articles for hours and hours and hours of my life, and just past knowledge about how I've seen court lawsuits go in the past. It looks like these lending companies will soon take ownership over Morphe. It looks like Jaclyn's gonna get her $900,000. Jeffree ain't getting squat. James is out over $2 million. I think all of that is going to get flushed. The employees look like they're going to get paid, which is wonderful for them, as they should get paid. And then based on a statement from their president, his name is Simon Cowell, not that Simon Cowell, but a different Simon Cowell. He said he sees opportunities for Forma brands outside the US. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think that they are going to find influential people in other countries outside the US, probably outside Canada. They'll probably try to dip into the Asian market. They'll probably try to dip into the European market and find people that they can do similar things with fan bases of people outside the US specifically. I think that's where they're going. Will they be successful? Only time will tell. I will keep you posted on the next things that happen, because I am over here just like, holy crap.
I kind of wanted to know like how we got to this point, but I know that's like not really going to be anyone, like no one's going to say, oh, this is the reason why our company is struggling. I want to know what happened for Morphe. For this company, like I just don't understand how companies that are that big, it's like, do you just grow too fast? Are you growing too fast? Are you trying to grow too fast? Are you spending too much money and not making it back fast enough? Did you invest too heavily into companies that you thought would make more money and they didn't? So now you have all this money sitting there and like poor cash flow, and you don't have enough people to sell it to? Or I just don't understand how. I think it started as a brush brand and now all of this. I know, I don't understand how we got to this point. I'm bummed that it didn't really explain that. I hope we never have to watch one of these videos about EULAWs. No, well that's the benefit of only being like not having investors. That was a conscious choice. And starting off small, like I could have started off bigger if I wanted to, but it's just not smart, especially when like it just costs so much to start a makeup brand. It costs so much. So I would much rather start off small and keep it like low key, because this stuff is so stressful. I couldn't imagine. And then having like, knowing that you owe money, like it must be like, I'm sure Jaclyn and stuff knows that all this stuff is happening behind closed doors, and how stressful. Like considering how much stuff she's gone through with all the other brands, like when she said on Twitter, goodbye Twitter, that she's leaving, like she's very polarizing. a lot of people really don't like her and think that she's purposely out there like scamming people. I don't believe that. I never got that vibe. I understand why people feel that way, but I never personally felt that way. I don't know. I just feel, I mean, I don't know her. I feel like I'm a good judge of character and I didn't get that vibe, but I don't know. And so I think people just, like, it just adds to, I don't know, I guess the people that follow her must be very loyal though. And she's still got her other brands, but like, I guess if another company takes over, then perhaps her brand will be fine. There's like nothing has been posted on her brand's Instagram. So maybe they've got like plans in place. But, because she's in Ulta and like all those places, isn't she? Her brand. It's a mess. It's a huge risk growing so fast. In my job, I have to analyze business performance and it's generally not looked upon favorably to grow so quickly. Yeah, unless you're like a unicorn, like I feel like someone, like who's an example of an influencer now that I think would do well? Who's just going crazy right now? What's her name? Alex Earle? She seems like the current like it girl on TikTok. Anna Paul, I feel like everyone just loves her. She wouldn't need to because she's making a killing from OnlyFans, so she wouldn't even need to do that. But if she wanted to, I'm sure that's an avenue. Like, just think about that meetup that she had in Perth. Like, it's rare, I feel like, that meetups are a big deal these days because I feel like that was something that was huge like 5 years ago. But now, for her to have that many people show up, that's wild. So I feel like there are still a few influencers that could go crazy, but they're few and far between. I feel like the whole influencer collaboration thing is tired. It was so much fun when it first started happening, but it's like that's just the way the world works, isn't it? Though, like when something works financially, you just bleed it dry, like you milk it to the absolute maximum until there's no milk left. And I feel like that's what's happened with it's like think about like influencer brand trips. I was lucky enough to go on a few and they're amazing, but I know like I saw the comments from people that followed all these people that were going on them. And they just said like it was really fun for them to watch at the start, but then towards the end it's like it just puts a bad taste in your mouth. So then the brand stopped doing those, and then influencer collaborations came out, and then they were like really successful at the start. Think about like Jaclyn Hill's collaboration and Manny MUA's, and like those were huge at the start. And then every influencer started doing one, and they weren't as successful. Influencer brands, they were huge at the start. Like now, consumers, I'm very well aware, consumers like roll their eyes when a new celebrity or something comes out with a brand. Even new collections, like back in the day when I started YouTube, MAC, I keep mentioning it, but like, they had a new lipstick come out, a new collection, and people would go wild for it. And then brands would start collaborating with like other brands or like Hello Kitty or something, or some like a nostalgic brand or your favorite influencer, and it would do really well. And then now they did it too many times, like ColourPop, and then it just became like you get tired. Same thing with like just makeup brands in general. When I started, it was like I was excited to try it. Like I think I said Revlon. Did I say Revlon was my favorite brand? I don't even know. It was like, at least in Australia, Maybelline, L'Oreal, Rimmel, Revlon, MAC. MAC was the be all and end all. I worked with Bobbi Brown and Benefit. Like those were the big ones, A little bit different in America. You had more options. So then I would buy American brands like Milani and Jordana and some e.l.f. products and NYX. And I was like, oh my god, this is so exciting. And then all these new brands started coming out. And then you get really excited because you have all these new products to play with. And then all these other brands realize like, hey, this is like, I can make a lot of money doing this. So I feel like I'm sorry, Jen, for pausing on this screen. Yes, no, other brands started making, there's more brands came out. And I know that I am obviously a new brand, so I'm in that pool, but I don't know, it's like you find a good thing and then it just it gets milk dry. So it's interesting. Anyone know what mascara she used on her bottom lashes? That would be my own mascara. I'm gonna plug it. Lounge Face Lash. Vegan tubing mascara that is cruelty free, won't smudge, guaranteed. Volumizing, amazing, life-changing. I feel like the beauty boom has passed and they haven't adapted to that. Yeah. That's what, and I'm not just, it's going to be hard to believe because it's my own brand, but that's what I love actually about, like, I know it's probably bad for business to only have one product to start with, but I kind of love that it is small because I feel like, at least this is how I would view it if it was somebody else's brand. I feel like it feels more genuine that way. because it shows that I'm literally putting all of my time, effort, and energy and money into this one product. Whereas if I launched with like a whole range, it's not exciting because it's like everything all at once. Whereas if I can slowly release products that I've been like curating and working on for a long period of time, it just feels more intentional. And it doesn't feel like as much of a money grab because I'm literally just like slaving over these individual products. That's how I hope that it comes across, because that's the truth. But yeah, I know it's and I'm not trying to talk badly about other makeup brands. Like, there are lots of influencer makeup brands that are killing it. Like Patrick Starr, he's a legend. And yeah, One Size is an amazing brand. That's actually probably one of the exceptions, because that's doing really well on TikTok. I love brands with a smaller product line. It's easier to choose what I want and what I want to try. Let me go back into just chatting. Just for now. I love brands with a smaller product line. It's easier to choose what I want to try. When there's too much, it feels overwhelming and I never try it. Also feels like they won't be as good quality. Brands like Rare Beauty, Glossier are easy to keep up with because they're quite streamlined. Yeah, oh yeah, and Rare Beauty, that seems to be another one that's really popular. Glossier seems to have fallen off. But that's what I'm planning on with my brand as well. Like, I know that technically people want like 10,000 colors of blush and stuff, but I just want the absolute bare bones, not only because financially that's a lot easier for me to do, but also I know the feeling of decision overwhelm with stuff like that, and I feel like I'm less inclined to make a purchase if I have too many options. I don't want to choose from 10 different blush colors. Give me 3, give me 4. As long as it caters to people of all skin tones, that's the number one thing. Obviously, when you have a smaller number of products, you run the risk of not that shade or those shades not working on all skin tones. But it's probably a case of having like a darker blush shade that is really flattering on deeper skin tones, a universal shade that's good for like lighter to medium skin tones, and then one that's good for light, like fair skin tones. I don't know. I have to figure it out. And even like lip liners, I just want like key products, because I know, like, you know, if you want choice, you have choice. You have choice from a million other brands. I don't feel like I need to serve that purpose. That's not what my brand is about. It's about reliable makeup, products that you know are going to be good. And so, yeah, I feel like I don't need to focus too much on having a million different colors in my little collection. And the Colgate will always be my fave. Well, that commercial was the most corny thing, but it's the coolest thing ever that I got to do that. I did a Colgate commercial that was on like Australian, like mainstream TV, Chloe and I. And at the end I said, oh my God, I can't even deal with this. It's like my Smile's best friend. And then Chloe goes, I thought I was your best friend. And then I said, my other best friend. It's so funny as well, because like we weren't best friends. We were friends. And it's like, I wonder if like just the people watching that watched our content would have been like, they're not even best friends anyway. Like, does it make sense? It's like my Smile's best friend. I thought I was your best friend. My other best friend. Literally like that. My other best friend. Cute though. Cute. Bless. Gotta love it. That's the coolest thing I've probably like ever done. No, it's not the coolest thing I've ever done, but it's really up there. That feels like one of those like once in a lifetime things. Alongside my campaign with YouTube. Do I play The Sims? Yeah, I have played it on stream on Twitch. Follow me, Les Curtis. Hey, I got my sticker here. Let's put it on and see if we can reach closer to our goal. Is this cringy and corny? Yes. Do I care? Not a bit. You gotta hustle. Hey, someone, because I don't know if you guys, thank you, love a sticker. I kept it. Did you think I was gonna get rid of my sticker? My number one promo fan, my number one fan, myself.